welcome back to my Let's Play of Dino Crisis. So the first thing you'll probably notice is that I'm in a completely different area than I was when I ended the previous video, and the reason why is because I'd forgotten, I kind of got stuck and I wasn't sure where to go. So then I kind of cheated and I said, okay, I can't be stuck this early in the game, so I started going to game facts and I realized I missed this file right here. So what you're going to see here is weapon storage can be accessed with the combination 0426. That was the cabinet that I mentioned in one of the previous videos, the cabinet next to like this dead body in the save room. So I had missed this file probably because there was a dinosaur bashing at the door, so I didn't even realize that was there. So now we know what the combination is, so now I can go and hopefully there's some keys in there. Hello, decapitated dinosaur. That's the scariest part of the game right there. Okay, so this is the area I was talking about. So there's the body, there's the cabinet. So I should enter 0426 and be able to open it. And lo and behold, there you go. Okay, and I'm really starting to get kind of nervous about this whole ammo situation that I'm dealing with right here. I'm getting a hell of a lot of health items. Sorry about that. I'm getting a hell of a lot of health items, but not as much ammo as I would have liked. So I'm gonna come back. So I believe that key is for the main entrance, if I'm not mistaken. And for some reason I thought they were gonna be kind and replenish some items in this emergency box, but naturally that's not the case, and that's okay. Alright, so I'm hoping that I can use the vents. Well, I was thinking about using the ventilation ducts to get closer to the entrance in a quicker fashion, but I feel like just walking through here is a little quicker. So as I'm going through this game, it's making me think, you know what? I really need to watch Jurassic Park. I have never seen Jurassic Park. I've seen parts of the movie, and I've seen parts of some of the sequels after the movie, but there's just, so it's kind of like one of those things where I'm like, I wish I could make some references to Jurassic Park, because I'm pretty sure that this game might lend itself to it, but sadly that's the case. That's not the case, so it's a bit of a missed opportunity, but that's alright. What do we have here? Okay, hey. I was just complaining about the lack of ammo that I have, but that's completely my fault. The problem is that I should be using the lasers a little more than I actually am. Okay, so this guy right here, Mark Doyle, I'm assuming that's this body here used to be Mark Doyle, and he also has a registration code, and that's gonna, only an arm and an upper body remains, and that's gonna play a big role later when you can actually rewrite some ID cards. You need the person's fingerprint and you need the person's registration code to be able to rewrite the ID card for that person's identity. So you'll see that shortly, probably in the next video. So yeah, Jurassic Park. I saw the second movie. First of all, here's the thing. I think I saw the whole second movie, and I have this habit of just kind of watching sequels randomly to movies. Sometimes you can get away with some franchises, like you can watch a sequel of a movie, and it does a pretty good job of not alienating people that don't watch that haven't seen the first movie, at least up to that point. So I really appreciate when people go out of their way to make sequels like that. But I've seen some movies that don't really do a good job of kind of bringing a newcomer to the series. Speaking of newcomer, that's the code for this door. So let's see what's in here. So I have seen some movies that really don't do a good job, so that's kind of silly. I don't know. I mean, you're obviously not gonna get some of the references that they're gonna make in the sequel to the original movie. There's just some some material that you're just not gonna grasp. But that's fine. Like, as long as I can get the gist of what's going on, I'm fine with that. And obviously the movie has to be entertaining. And another element is, this is not exactly, what's the word, ethical, I guess, but you know, I didn't always legitimately watch movies the way I was supposed to, like going to the movie theater and paying to see the movie. Sometimes I'd buy the you know, I was born in the 80s, so VHS tapes or the DVDs that were not made legally. Okay, fine. Not, you know, one of the bootleg. A very circuitous way of just saying bootleg. I don't know how big of a deal that is, but I don't do it anymore. I mean, honest to God, the last time I saw a video, like a VHS tape or DVD more recently, or Blu-ray, that was not an official purchase on my part, has to be really long time ago, like decades ago. But anyway, and when I say bootleg, apparently the standards for bootlegs, apparently there's such a thing as standards for bootlegs, have really risen significantly. Now, when I say bootleg, I literally mean someone had a big ass camcorder that they brought into the theater. Lord knows how the hell they managed to sneak it in there, but they recorded it literally from their seat. So if somebody really tall sat in front of them, that was the rest of the movie for you. A big head in the middle. So you have to like figure out, you have to kind of guess what the hell's going on behind Mr. Head here, and just make everything out. You know, I'm pretty sure, yeah, there's definitely an enemy in here, which is always fun. He was just kind of hanging out in the office, waiting for an office party, and it never happened. I'm trying to use the table to my advantage, but I forgot these guys have hops, so that's a bit of a problem. Okay, then they really can take some damage, especially if I'm gonna go after them with a little pissy handgun. Okay, I'm pretty sure he's... Oh, he actually... I thought he was gonna take more damage than that, so that's a pleasant surprise. Alright, Paul Baker. Pager number 1123. Yes, this is the late 90s. They did have pagers. Will you read the memo? Yes, I didn't mean to. So this is another thing. You have to keep in mind the registration number. So we have to find out who this Paul Baker is and figure out where he is so we can get his fingerprint. And we know what his registration number is, so that's all we need. And an ID card, of course. Pagin. I like... Did a Cajun write that dialogue right there? What the hell was that? Pagin. There was no G there. Nice. So this is where you can write or rewrite an ID card. So I'll be coming back to this shortly once I get an actual ID card to rewrite. Okay, so that area is noted. So bootlegs have significantly risen in quality, so I've heard, which is interesting. But I'm the kind of person that, honestly, just like from an ethical standpoint, if I really like something that somebody's done, whether it's a song, you know, it's a music artist, or it's a movie that I really like, I'm gonna buy it legitimately, of course. I do like to support artists and producers, that sort of thing. But the only thing that I will say is this: if musicians and artists are not gonna make their music or their movies easily accessible, and it's usually music in my case. Oh crap. Oh god. Okay, alright. Okay, let me see if I can battle this guy. What just happened? I died. Oh crap. I think this is the first time I've seen a death scene in this game. God. Oh, hey, I forgot I have these resuscitation packs. That's really interesting. It just starts me in the previous room. Wow, holy cow. Holy cow, that actually really surprised me. I wasn't exactly sure how the resuscitations worked. So this time I'm gonna bring the shotgun with me to deal with that enemy. And I also, like I said, I'm gonna need to use these laser fences a little better. Okay, there we go. Hopefully he'll come over here of his own volition. If not, I'll try to draw him in. So anyway, like I said, I do, you know, if artists make their work accessible, that's great, and I appreciate that. But let me tell you something. I have very obscure taste in music, or there might be a song featured in a commercial or a movie somewhere that's really hard to find, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do there? Seriously, what am I supposed to do if you're not gonna allow me to buy your music? That's one of my big pet peeves, and I can think of a number of songs. Like I said, it's particularly songs that I have issues with. I have this issue with, I should say. And I just don't understand that. You know, on one side of their mouth, artists say, oh, you know, people steal from us constantly because they're downloading things off of, you know, however they download them. But at the same time, it's like, well, you know, you kind of don't leave them much choice if you're not gonna allow them to buy it off iTunes or Amazon or whatever. But that's just me. That might just be my perspective. Alright, finally this guy is dead. And I really had a complex about him this time around, so I said not taking any chances with him. And I have no idea if there's any other enemies. By the way, that green light right there that I walked right by, I think that emits some kind of a gas. You can use that to either stun or kill the enemy in the room. I'm not sure if it kills them. Maybe it stuns them at least, or severely injures them. I don't know. But I didn't really want to chance it anyway, because there's no protection against the dinosaur at that point. Okay. Alright, so, by the way, I do, you know, please excuse this constant going into the inventory. It's just something that I'm either constantly mixing things or looking at the map, because I might have forgotten where a particular area is. So the pager, you heard the pager there, so that lets us know that that's Paul Baker. So I'm going to need to get the fingerprint collecting device and use it on that body. So at least we know he's there, which is always a pleasant thing. So anyway, yeah, like I said, so speaking of kind of illegal things, is Napster still a thing? I know that's definitely a blast from the past. Napster. I remember it being kind of the biggest thing ever, and then it became kind of a legal site where you can, what was it that you can legally get MP3s of songs, but you have to pay like a monthly fee. That was the last I heard about that, but that's like several years ago, so I have no idea if that's still the case. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm being a hoarder, total hoarder, and just trying to pick up everything as best as I can. But she does obviously have a very limited inventory, and that does not change at all as far as I can tell. It's not like you get a side pack or anything like you would in some of the earlier Resident Evils, and also in Resident Evil 4, where you can upgrade your attaché case to something bigger. So that's definitely not the case. That's another thing. So it's kind of interesting to see the elements that they took from the Resident Evil series, and yet some of the elements that they didn't take in it. Like, for example, the whole mixing thing, to me, well, even though Resident Evil 3, did Resident Evil 3 come out after this game or before this game? I really don't know. All I know is that I have an original copy that I got basically when the game came out, or soon after its release, and it has a demo disc for Resident Evil 3, so that leads me to believe that this game came out before Resident Evil 3. But then I'm thinking, did my Resident Evil 3 copy have a demo disc of Dino Crisis? But I mean, Resident Evil 3, what I'm thinking is that one of the costumes that you can that you can get as Jill is Regina's costume. And as far as I know, you can't dress up as Jill in Dino Crisis. So that leads me to believe that that Dino Crisis came out before Resident Evil 3, but I'm not 100% certain. I would have to look that up. Alright. So what I'm doing here is, again, trying to figure out where the F I need to go, kind of by process of elimination and that sort of thing. But that's one thing I really like about... Oh, hi. This guy's a little random in terms of where he resides, where he tends to be in... Oh, no. See, right here, as soon as I saw the camera angle changing up, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die again. But thankfully it didn't. I think it was just... I don't know why the camera angle changed right there, but thankfully he's still alive. Thankfully he didn't kill me. See, and that's yet another criticism I have to lob at this game, is the definite unclear health status. I never have any idea how injured Regina is, and to me that really doesn't make any sense, because here you have Dino Crisis, and it came out after Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil Director's Cut, Resident Evil 2, and Resident Evil 3 was in development. So you had quite a few games that came out, and all of them had clear indicators of the character's health status. So I really don't know why they decided to drop it in this game. I don't know if they felt that it was straightforward enough whether she bleeds or not, but kind of hard to tell if you're bleeding when a dinosaur is right up your ass trying to kill you. So that, to me, I really hope that they address that in the second game. Like I said, I've not played the second game, so I don't really know what to expect going into it. But like I said, I've heard nothing but good things about it. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on there. So what I was mentioning before is the mixing elements. The mixing element in this game, what you can mix to create ammo of some type, or you can mix to create health items, and I'm doing that a lot. You as you can see, that to me is reminiscent of Resident Evil 3, because obviously you can mix, and it's usually gunpowder. You can mix to create different ammo types. And of course, by no means whatsoever do I have that memorized. Like I can't sit there and say, oh, the gunpowder AC makes this type of grenade round or this type of round. I don't have that memorized. I don't know. I always have to kind of like look it up. The only one I do have memorized is how to make the freeze rounds, because people always recommend making those freeze rounds for fighting Nemesis. So I did that, and you can see I obviously did that in my Let's Play of Resident Evil Nemesis.
What's the emergency?
Miguel just told me he saw someone on the underground monitor.
It flashed by pretty quick. I'm sure I saw something. Rick, open the shutter to the underground area. What is it?
It's a distress signal from one of our team members. It must be Cooper.
Yeah, or it might be Tom. He infiltrated this facility posing as one of the researchers. Can you pinpoint the signal?
It's coming from outside of the building, to the east of the rear entrance we came in from.
Look, we'll deal with it later. Our first priority is the survivor in the underground. It could be the doc.
What are you talking about? He's asking for our help. We don't leave our own behind.
And what if it's a trap? Would you want one of us to come and rescue you?
Don't bother. I'm willing to take that risk.
Remember our mission. We're not here to babysit.
That's your role. All right. You have your access to the underground, Gale. So get moving. You handle your things your way, I'll handle my things my way.
That punk is really starting to get on my nerves. Regina, I'm heading out to investigate the underground.
Alright, so decision time. One of many decisions you make in the game. So you can either go with Gale or go with Rick. I'm gonna go with Rick because I always like to go after my teammates, you know, kind of help them out. As pointless as it might be sometimes. But I'm following Rick also because his name is Rick. You know what I'm saying? Walking Dead fans. It's the stupidest reason ever, but hey, it works. It's a viable decision, so I'm going after it. Okay. So he actually is going to be walking towards basically the area where we first started the game. And of course, I didn't know that, so I had to look at the map about 50 dozen times. So I tried to edit that out as much as possible to spare you guys that. And I always have to chuckle a little bit because I look at the map a lot in many of these games. And I said, if I'm looking at the map now, for example, with something like Resident Evil, sometimes in Resident Evil 3, I look at the map because I really don't know where I'm going and I don't have the area memorized. And I say, wow, if I'm in this bad of a shape in terms of playing this game, can only imagine playing a game like Silent Hill, which I have played. I played most of Silent Hill 1, haven't beaten it. I've played Silent Hill 2 and beaten it a couple times, and I've played Silent Hill 3 and beaten it a couple times. Played a little bit of Silent Hill 4, and other than that, I've played the other Silent Hill games, but they're not really worth mentioning for reasons I've mentioned in other videos. You guys know how I feel about Homecoming, and Downpour. Didn't even try to play that game, and I just knew just by looking at it. And I know that that's a very closed-minded view, but I knew by looking at it, I'm like, I'm gonna pass on this game. I really am. So there goes Rick. And check this part right out. Check this part out here. He walked through this area, and I always make the silly assumption that every time a person walks through an area, it's safe. No, of course not. It's not like he's gonna even consider that Regina's following right behind him, even though he can clearly see that he can clearly hear that she's right behind him. And does he do the nice thing and try to clear the area for her? Of course not. Oh boy, pterodactyls. Okay, I'd like to know what the pterodactyl's plan was right there, because he looked like he was flying right to that elevator door or that wall there. So I really, maybe he was gonna just smack her against the wall, and I don't know if that was gonna result in an instant death for her, but it just seemed a little odd to me. Alright, so now we're entering the large elevator control room.
Tom!
They came out of nowhere. Didn't have a chance. Tom, can you tell us what's going on here? Kirk's insane. His experiments have nothing to do with energy development. Tom! Here, take this. His wounds are pretty bad. We have to move him someplace safe immediately.
Okay, L. And there's the other disc for the L door, wherever that is. So once I find that door, I should be able to open it. Okay. Once again, I'm out of it. I'm out of space. But I guess what that signifies to me is that I have to be a little more strategic in how I mix and also what I pick up. So that's something I have to kind of continue to experiment with as I progress through the game. So I'm gonna kind of try to, basically the idea right here, the next objective is to get that elevator running. The elevator in the previous room, the big one. So just have to go this way to get the elevator up and running. There's a puzzle here. Oh, ouch. So I'm gonna go ahead and go over here. And I'll see you guys in the next video.